across now to the other side of the globe. Canada is hoping to have partially vaccinated all of its citizens by June. The country's health department says getting at least one dose will allow for some of the more stringent social distancing measures to be relaxed, and more restrictions will be lifted once 75% of all adults have had at least their first jab. Joining us now is Owira, a former colleague of ours here at eNCA, who now calls Vancouver home. Philip and his family got vaccinated this past week. Philip, so great to speak to you. Thank you so much for joining us from beautiful Vancouver. Beautiful photos that you posted on social media this week of you and your young family receiving their vaccines. At least you and your wife receiving your vaccines, and your little baby just getting the sticker that came along with that jab. Tell us about what that experience was like.
Well, it was absolutely great. In fact, we weren't really expecting it, mostly because they've been doing their rollout by age. In fact, they were reached the age of 40 by the time we got called. But the reason why we got called was because they were doing it by hotspots. Suddenly, our neighborhood was regarded as a COVID hotspot. And so we had already signed up online, because everybody has to sign up online. And then when their age group comes, they get to be invited. They get a text or get an email saying, come, go book your vaccine. So we got that text almost immediately when they announced that our neighborhood was a COVID hotspot. And so we signed up, registered, got a text, and then the next day we went over to the main convention center where there were hundreds of people who had lined up to also get vaccinated from our neighborhood. And yeah, we got the Moderna vaccine. But every day, everybody gets a different vaccine. Some people get Pfizer, others get AstraZeneca. However, it's strange because since Canada has such a variety of vaccines, from Johnson & Johnson to Moderna to Pfizer to AstraZeneca, many people are now being picky about what vaccines they want. Many people now don't seem to not want AstraZeneca. Many people seem to definitely want either Pfizer or Moderna because they're all worried about blood clots.
Oh, my goodness. So, I mean, it's almost a smorgasbord of vaccines that at least you get to pick from. I believe the military is running the logistics around the rollout in Canada. What kind of impact do you think that's had for the rollout? It sounds pretty sophisticated in terms of them going by hotspots and you getting messages and that kind of thing. But what did you think about how the process was run?
Well, not quite, because Canada is almost like a weird mix of the USA and South Africa. Now, they have provinces like we do in South Africa and have premiers like we do in South Africa. Only here, provinces have a lot more power. So premiers are much, much more powerful than they will be back home. And they're the ones who determine, with their health authorities, determine what vaccines they should roll out in their region. Now, we're in British Columbia, and here it's not the military that's running it. It's pretty much the local health authorities that are doing it. And they've been pretty good at it. Some places are having trouble, like our neighboring province of Alberta. They have the highest rate of COVID in North America at the moment. So they're struggling. But over here in British Columbia, 50% of eligible adults have been vaccinated. So it's been quite smooth here in British Columbia. And there are other remote parts of the country where I guess the military is running it, where like the Northern Territories, where there's pretty remote, pretty inaccessible, where they would send the military to vaccinate the local population.
Now, I saw a quote from one of the officials, the Deputy Chief Public Health Officer, saying that they're hoping that with the influx of vaccines, they're expecting something like 2 million Pfizer doses to arrive every week in the month of May, and that to be ramped up as you go into June. The wording for me I found quite interesting. They're ready to offer a vaccine to all those Canadians who want it. And I thought that was quite key. What have you noticed in terms of Canadians and their attitudes towards getting the vaccine, and those who perhaps feel that it's unnecessary?
Well, as I said, they have such a wide variety of vaccines to pick from that so many people are now wanting, the branded vaccines, the big brand ones. However, you do get many people who are very hesitant of the vaccines, since social media is everywhere. There's a lot of misinformation going around about what the vaccines may do to you. And so there's literally hundreds of people who are actively campaigning other people not to get vaccines. Every weekend you'd go through downtown and you'd see a march with with hundreds of people, protesting against masking, protesting against vaccines. In fact, they're so organized that sometimes they even organize beach concerts to tell people like this. And so it's quite they have so much, but at the same time, there's such a massive resistance with a large section of the population as well.
Now, we've heard news over the last couple of days that in the US, they're looking to drop the mask mandate in the states where they've gotten to a certain percentage of vaccinations. What is the sense that you're getting in terms of restrictions in Canada? Do you think that they will loosen those restrictions quite a bit once they've got that first jab into most Canadian arms?
It's a lot more cautious again. All of this depends on provinces. Now, each province manages its own restrictions. In terms of like the national priority, the restriction that is there right now is the border is closed with the US. You can't come in. Like, no one can come in unless you have family here or you're studying here. Like, no one can really come in. And they've now just banned flights from India as recently as 2 weeks ago. So they keep bringing in a lot more restrictions. However, going through summer, we'll see many provinces start relaxing their rules as to what you can do. Here in British Columbia, you can't go into other people's homes and mix with them. You can only meet on a park for up to 10 people. Indoor dining is banned. But however, they are hopeful to lift the restrictions here in British Columbia by the end of summer to fully allow people to, gather and go indoors. Even in winter, they even set up to winter, they would allow everything cinemas to open, gyms to open, but we will see how the rollout goes because the rollout was quite fast. As I said, like last week, 3 weeks ago, we were only expected to be vaccinated mid-June. However, we were only got our first dose now. So things change pretty quickly. And the big telltale sign is when they're going to open the border with the US or they open the border to everybody to come, foreigners to come. That's when we will know that restrictions have been loosened.
Before we let you go, Philip, we're supposed to be starting the next phase of our vaccination rollout. In fact, it's at the real beginning of our vaccination rollout here in South Africa. You've received your jab. Your message to South Africans who perhaps haven't made up their minds about the importance of getting that jab in their arm over the next few weeks?
I would encourage everybody who can to take the vaccine no matter what they give it to them. I know there's a lot of debates as to which vaccine is better or not. Yes, some are better in terms of the effectiveness. However, if any vaccine they give to you, they're all good vaccines. So I would recommend people to, just get yourself vaccinated because it just makes life so much easier. You'll notice a difference in terms of COVID numbers. The more people get vaccinated here in British Columbia, the less the infection rate goes up and the less the hospitalization goes up. So we can see the numbers starting to decline really, really sharply. So I would say take the vaccine, whatever they give you.
We'll definitely take you up on that advice. Thank you so much. Philip Owira, freelance journalist, making his life a South African, making his life in Vancouver in Canada with his young family, and a former colleague of ours. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Philip.